Hello, my soul family. I am going to dive into the topic of not being able to properly heal unless we have a witness. And I know that so many of us on the spiritual path tend to gravitate towards isolation because during the awakening, there's a period of time where that's exactly what you have to do. You have to get away from everyone. You have to lose a lot of the people in your life that you're not going to carry forward, that are just not in your best interest, that don't have that same vibration or trajectory as you. And it leaves you to cocoon and always be by yourself. What happens in that time period is we're actually building solo regulation, which means we need, especially for codependent people, or if you've been around people your whole life, you tend to gather all of your needs from other people. You absolutely need to know what it's like to self-regulate, which means when you're triggered, how do you soothe yourself? Can you speak to yourself? Can you honor your inner child? Can you meet your own needs or at least recognize what they are? Can you do emotional work, like turning towards your triggers? All of these practices are the ones that I cultivated for all of these years in my awakening. I did this all by myself. Of course, you can use these tools and get extreme breakthroughs and are able to self-soothe. And a lot of the times, meditation, yoga, and all of these psychological or spiritual practices are necessary to cultivate you being able to step into your own alignment. Being able to do that feels so good because so many of us didn't even know how to do that. So being able to navigate your inner world and becoming an expert in your own inner language and your needs is absolutely step one. However, it is clinically, scientifically, psychologically proven that we do not heal in isolation, which means we are hurt and traumatized within the context of relationship, and so we heal in relationship, which means you can sit in a cave and do all the work by yourself that you want, but you will hit a roadblock. It's not about doing this all yourself. It's about doing this together. And so when you look at it that way, what happens is you use your own tools, you self-soothe, you self-regulate, and then you step out into the world and you're able to really meet the triggers that oftentimes through other relationships are the ones that are going to be shown, because that's when you're hurt. When you're by yourself, you feel like recharging your batteries, you feel better, you feel more able to go to your stuff. But if you're not able to go into the environment where the triggers originated, that's kind of the goal. So you then step into a reality with other people, and finding regulation through that is revolutionary. We've seen thousands of studies that accentuate the ability for people to heal when they are surrounded by other people, when they have other people's support, when they are able to share their grievances, their shame, their fears, what can actually happen in group settings or with a witness. So I just want you to think about that today. Think about ways that you're only doing this alone, or vice versa, you're only doing this with other people, and how you can build tools to self-regulate. But more often than not, and the reason that I titled the video the way I did is because most of us know how to do it on our own. So I'll tell you a little bit about my journey and why I feel so passionate about this conclusion that just previously didn't feel safe or didn't make sense to me. So I clearly never ever felt safe within the context of relationships. In fact, exposure, being hurt, most of my pain has come through other people. And it's incredibly difficult for me to truly be vulnerable and feel like that person is going to meet my needs. So I've actually gotten really good at opening myself up, but there's still a part of me that doesn't believe that the other person is really going to be able to meet those needs or hold space for me, validate me. It's usually I'm the person who can do that for other people. And so what that leads to is a lifestyle in which you build all of your own resources. There's a part of you that understands you're not going to get your needs met through other people, and so I will do this myself. And to be honest, throughout my Kundalini awakening, I did get to many breakthroughs, aha moments, understandings. I mean, just through reading books, through meditations, through trying out different modalities, trying out different tools. And I've built most of the basis of my knowledge through that. And then this year I had to sign up for the emotional release therapy school, and I have a really big problem with groups in general. Like, they terrify me. I'm not able to speak in groups very well. And I started seeking help through a therapist a few months ago. So we're looking at 3 different instances that would require other people to be fully invested in my healing, in my triggers that are holding space for me. So the practitioners that are doing the body work with me, I mean, they have to hold space the entire time. The group setting, which is a totally different environment and dynamic that, you could be great one-on-one, great by yourself, but also be terrible at groups, like understanding these different dynamics and ones that you could excel in and others that you could be extremely poorly developed in. And third, one-on-one with a therapist. The healing and growth that I have done this year, so since October, not even a full year, has been astronomical in comparison to the first 3 years of my awakening. And I just needed to let that sink in just for a moment. I've only become aware of this pretty recently when I started just really seeing that I've been making leaps and strides. One thing is feeling fear in the solace and protection of my own room versus having a group witness me within it, even though it felt terrible the entire time, and to notice that my body has now at least understood that co-regulation is a possibility, because you can live in freeze states when it comes to other people. Go out into public life and then come home and then regulate and then go out and you can live your life like that. But when you do therapies where other people are witnessing you, something magical happens. And I'm starting to really just believe in the witness. I think the witness is such a huge portion of the integration and the closure and the real permanent change that we're able to see. We need someone to witness our pain in order for it to be fully expressed and fully rewired. Even you'll find, if you're like listening to this and you're like, no, I do it all myself. But do you share it with people? Do you write it down and share it on a blog? Do you talk to a camera and share it on YouTube? Like, I realized I was seeking that this entire time because the sharing part of it is one of the most important ones. And I'm not saying that this is a fairy tale, like you share in front of a group and suddenly you don't have social anxiety. In fact, no. But what that leads to is another trigger. So you share the shame and then you have a vulnerability hangover. Okay. Now it feels terrible. Why did I even share? But you would have never understood that second part unless you did. And then that second part leads to a third part. And slowly but surely you start navigating from this is an impossibility freeze response to legitimate moments where your body was able to go through and complete the whole cycle in the witness of another human being. And now it has a reference point. Now your body is like, oh, I actually moved through it the whole way in front of someone else. And now check, I can refer to this memory when I now need to go there in moments of disaster or distress in social settings. I have a reference point. And so the more we can do these rewirings in any setting with another person, I swear to you, you will find the healing, like the leap that you make is far, far greater. And I just love that science and, people who study attachment theory and the rewiring of trauma are confirming this. I just want to make this video to invite you to look at moments where you could maybe be leaning more towards co-regulation. Could you maybe start therapy? Could you do something in a group setting that would allow you to expose a little bit more of yourself and allow your body to start feeling safety in all of these settings? Because I am really into now understanding what's at the opposite end of trauma. It's secure attachment. It's rebuilding this broken connection. Everything that trauma creates is a broken connection. You lose connection with yourself. You lose it with your loved ones, with your own spirituality, with every possible relationship. It's like broken bridges. So when this starts to heal, what happens? We start coming back to secure connection. And we can't do that if we've never tried secure connection with other people. And I know that for me, that sounds terrible. Like, I don't want to go from trauma to now establishing secure connection. So what's the happy middle? The happy middle is not going to really good, long-lasting relationships. It's going to seek people out who are just as broken and lost and traumatized as you, and using that group setting or those relationships in order to be as honest and vulnerable as you can in order to mend. And that was the difference. That felt safe for me. I can't pretend that I can, go to immediate secure attachment now. But what I can do is meet it in the middle and seek out people who are exactly in the same boat as me. And that is what helps and heals and transforms, and your nervous system needs those experiences. So as much as healing and isolation is necessary, and so many people don't even know how to do that, so you are far ahead of the game if you have built a tool chest of all these tools, and by God, do I have one. But it's not the last step. There is more. And so if you feel like you've hit a roadblock or are getting stale with your healing, just bringing in that option, that possibly that's something that you could explore and see if it brings in that missing piece that you were looking for. I want to include a little exercise. You can stay with your eyes open or closed and do whatever practice that you do to get fully in your body. What I like to do is fully feel my feet, my weight, really start body scanning and breathing into especially the lower half of my body, hearing the sounds around me, and just fully getting into this here and now. And then I want you to kind of conjure up that feeling that you get that you don't want other people to see, your insecurities, your doubts, your fears, the things that you're the most vulnerable about, the things that you would feel the most risky sharing with other people. And what you can do is first just imagine someone that you feel safe with in your life, or you can imagine a character. It can be anything. And I want you just to imagine their presence in front of you. Notice where you place them. And I want you to imagine them just giving you loving, kind eyes as you sit in your shit. Getting that feedback, that witness, that A, makes you feel safe, B, makes you feel protected, and C, free of judgment. So just radiating love. You can have a few different people if more than one come to mind. And just notice what happens in your body when you let yourself have that experience. Is there a softening? Is there tensing up? Is there relief? How does it feel to be in the presence of this other person who is giving you just unconditional love and safety while you're in the things that you are the most fearful of? How does that feel to your nervous system? Just sit in that. This exercise is just to get information on yourself. Maybe this exercise can help you decide whether or not moving towards co-regulation is something that you'd like to explore. We are hardwired for connection and love and safety. We come out of the womb desiring those things. We literally, all children have that built into them. And so at what point in your spirituality, when you wake up, are you ultimately supposed to stay in isolation? Is that true? Is that your soul's truth? Is it really? And maybe it is. I'm just inviting you to maybe consider that the reason you fear relationships, the reason you fear other people, is because that's how you've been hurt. And that if that didn't exist, would you feel happier and safer in community? Have a beautiful week, guys.